I talk to entrepreneurs and people all the time that says, we hire for culture fit. Awesome that you hire for culture fit. What's your culture? And if you can't tell me what your culture is, that means when you say we hire for culture fit, you hire people just like yourself. So you should not be allowed to say that we hire for culture fit unless you can tell people what that culture is. Because otherwise, you have these kind of all sorts of biases that kick in, and that's a very, very dangerous thing. So those that are in engineering understand the notion of technology debt. So technology debt is you take this shortcut, you hack something together, and you put it out there because in the interest of time, you just want to get it out there, and you know that was hacky code, and you're going to have to go fix it someday and pay off the debt. And there is such a thing as culture debt. And culture debt is, yeah, this person is sort of a jerk, but they're so good. And we've been recruiting, we've been trying to find this designer for like 2.5 months. They're the best one we've seen so far, and we have no idea when the next one's going to come along that we really like. But I don't really want to be around them. And then you'll rationalize, like, oh yeah, but they'll just work remotely, it'll be fine. It's usually not fine. What ends up happening is that they make everybody around them miserable. And the funny thing is, when you incur technology debt, you can go back and say, you know what, I wrote this hacky code, it's really slow or really buggy or something's happening. I am going to pay this debt off, I'm going to rewrite it, it's going to be beautiful, I'm going to refactor the code, it's going to be awesome. Culture debt, you might do the same thing. Like, we discover this person's a jerk, we're going to let them go. Now the difference is that when you refactor that code, you've basically paid off your debt. When you fire that person that was a jerk, you haven't completely paid off the debt because you're still kind of be rooting out, and you will never know whether you completely got rid of some of the toxicity they left behind. So when you have mistakenly hired a jerk, you have two options. One is you can kind of develop them into less jerkiness versus letting them go. And my experience has been there's actually normal, good people manifest as jerks because it's just like they're in their heads and they just come off that way. And in my mind, the discriminating factor of what makes one a jerk and the other one not really is like what they're solving for. So the difference is, are they being jerky just to belittle someone else? Are they doing it out of their own ego? Or are they just doing it because that's just their way of getting inputs or something like that? It's in their nature, but they're still solving for the greater good, right? So we have people that are skeptics. Real culture is not about, ping pong tables and beer Fridays and things like that. It's about these core first principles kind of stuff. And I've lived through layoffs, I've lived through company shutdowns, and one thing that I've realized is that when you have the right people on board, they will cut you a lot of slack. Like, I've had people volunteer to take pay cuts because, like, Dharmesh, I know we're not going to be able to meet payroll. I love this company. I love what we're doing. I'll go to 50% salary. And that happens. Like, people are willing to live through the pain as long as you're honest with them. This is going to sound cliched and platitudinal, but the overall purpose of a culture, the idea behind it is to, A, attract amazing people, and then help them do their best work. That's why you have it. That's why you should have a good one versus a crappy one. The other one is, like, and this I've seen happen so many times. So bad, crappy culture, and there are multiple, like, toxic cultures, will not likely kill you immediately. It's not the fastest way to die. There are much faster ways to kill a startup. This is the most reliable. It will kill you. If the culture is crappy, it's just a matter of time. So this is one of probably the most important reasons to write your culture down. It doesn't have to be a 128-slide PowerPoint deck like we have, but it should be written down, even if it's in an email. Like, something has to exist that people have access to so they know kind of what it is.